This is Mary, who says, my Sunday school class was asked to give transportation for a man from a nursing home to Sunday services because, quote, his elderly father could not drive anymore. I drove him 20+ times over several months. I found out 2 weeks ago he's dying of AIDS. I think those driving him should have been told his diagnosis in a private way. A few people in church knew. I did not. I feel deceived. What if we had had an accident? Did someone have a moral obligation to tell the drivers the truth? I haven't been back to church since I found out. I'm going somewhere else until I sort this out.
You know, I must confess, I don't know all the ramifications of infection with AIDS. I used to think it was transmitted by saliva and other things. Now they say it may be sexual contact. So what you want to say, if you're driving an elderly man who's got AIDS, don't have sex with him. But that's a little too simplistic. I don't necessarily think you didn't get AIDS. So unless there's a cut or some bodily fluid transmission, I think you're not going to catch it. But it's a horrible thing. And I don't know what to say. There are laws now. I think the homosexual community has put these draconian laws on the books that prohibit people from discussing this particular affliction. You can tell somebody they got a heart attack, you can tell them they've got high blood pressure, but you can't tell anybody they've got AIDS. So I don't know, you see, you didn't catch anything, so keep going to church and praise the Lord. You got any thoughts on that one?
Well, you know, I think you were doing a good thing by transporting this man. I have known many people with AIDS and have never felt fearful, you know, of a scenario like this. I think even if you'd had a car accident.
You know what they do in San Francisco, some of the gay community, they want to get people, so if they've got the stuff, they'll have a ring, you shake hands, and the ring's got a little thing where you cut your finger.
Really?
Yeah, really. I mean, it's that kind of vicious stuff, which would be the equivalent of murder.
Yeah.
But anyhow, for that one, go
for
back
this
to
one,
your
church is involved.
Yeah,
I
go
think
back to your church. You're fine. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you just watched the same thing I just watched, and you're sitting there going, he was partially somewhat educated. Correct, you cannot get AIDS unless it's fluid-to-fluid contact. Enough your blood, intercourse, things like that. Also, I would like to say that I don't know exactly how old this video is. It's just floating around now, and in my attempt to get back to some of my original content, we're going to be focusing on Pat Robertson a little bit more these days, calling out some of his homophobia, because people tend to forget. But, there are AIDS drugs that practically make AIDS undetectable in the body now, and where we've come from the 90s is amazing. This video is definitely not from the 90s because he's Crypt Keeper. He looks like the Crypt Keeper, so I'm guessing it's in the past 5 years. But the amount of misinformation in this video that I'm going to have to correct is extra-freaking-nomical. Let's start with the fact that people can tell that you've had a heart attack, or you can tell, you know, doctors can tell people if you've had a heart attack or a stroke or things like that. Doctors cannot reveal any sort of your medical information. They can't go around telling people you have AIDS. They also can't go around telling people you had a heart attack or a stroke, or that you suffer from bipolar depression, or you had the flu. You have HIPAA rights. Doctors are not allowed to disclose any part of your medical information without your permission. So, no, there's not some quote-unquote gay agenda to keep people from talking about whether the fact that they have AIDS or not. That's not how this works. It's simple HIPAA laws that we've had for forever. Like, seriously, they've been around for forever. Then he jumps into this absolutely homophobic thing where he is talking about gay people putting pins on their hand, cutting their finger, and intentionally making people sick because they want other people to have AIDS along with them. Pat Robertson just made that up off the top of his head, because that's not a thing. It's also extremely illegal. So, don't you think if people were doing that and they got caught doing that, that we would hear about it because they would go to jail? I mean, I remember hearing a story a few years back where a dad didn't want to pay child support, so he gave his kids AIDS. Like, seriously, he gave his baby AIDS. So if someone's going around San Francisco sticking people with AIDS pens, don't you think that we would know? Absolutely, we would know. And the rights would be all over that because, you know, they're homophobic. And the news would be all over it because it would be sensationalized, because that would be a story if a bunch of gay men were walking around San Francisco sticking people with pens. He's trying to fearmonger. He's trying to make it seem like the gays are out to get you. The gays are out to get you. No, they're just trying to live their lives like you or me and just be left alone to do their own thing. They just want to live a normal life. And Pat Robertson is here trying to convince his elderly audience that they're going around sticking people with pens that have AIDS on them. I hate that man so much. So, we're going to be covering him over the next few days. We're going to keep doing videos. And I will see y'all later.